Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome to the Secrets of a Ghostwriter. Today, a tutorial that I've thought long and hard about delivering. In a word, libraries. Why would I have a hesitation? Especially when many people feel that there should be a very strong relationship between an author and libraries. Well, this goes back to the late noughties, and I was a columnist for a newspaper in Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. I was also the breakfast radio presenter, so I would quite often do my work and have a little sleep and then wake up and prepare the next day's radio show for Metro Radio. On a Thursday, I used to publish my newspaper column online before it hit the traditional written press on a Friday. And I could write about anything that I wanted to. Now, in the middle of the so-called credit crunch in the UK, which is probably around 2007, 2008, many public services were being cut back to the point that still to this day on UK motorways, you'll see signs saying no street lighting between midnight and 5 a.m. Funny that, just the kind of time that you might need some street lighting. Anyway, up for discussion, libraries. Now, I wrote a piece in context of these cuts that a mobile library service was facing the axe in rural parts of the northeast of England. And I simply said that when we're dealing with people struggling to put meals on tables, put fuel in cars, etc., the economy is bad, we might not need that rural mobile library at this point. So I wake up from my afternoon nap and my Twitter is a war zone. Anybody that's ever been in a library came to the party, aiming barrels in my direction. And of course, one of the things that people will say to you is, well, when did you last go in a library? And I'll say, well, I've not been in a library since university. So that'll be 1993. And they go, well, there you go. And I'll go, no, well, there you go. And they'll say, well, libraries offer a lot more these days. And I'll say, well, I've got everything I need, thank you, on the big library of the world, Google. And I'm often too busy writing books to be reading them. So we reach an impasse, a standoff. There's no winners here. Library people didn't like me. Again, there's that assumption that because you write, you should endorse libraries. I was of a more sort of business mind about this, and that is that I wanted people to buy books that I wrote rather than borrow them. Somehow there appears to be this culture, I think, in Britain where, oh no, it's your duty as a writer to help people read. I think that role belongs to a parent and a teacher, and by the time that they found me, they'll be reading. Anyway, I'd like to call a truce with libraries and just make 2 points here to writers. The first is, I think it's still the case, but it's my understanding that when you release a book, self-publish or published through a publishing house, it was always the case that it was the law that you had to make a copy of your book available for the British Library. Now, I've never been thrown in the tower for not doing so, and I would imagine that that library would be the size of about 10 Amazon warehouses that you see by the side of motorways if everybody came good on that and delivered their book in person. Can you imagine the queue to British libraries? And the other point that I want to mention, and this is really the reason for this tutorial, is PLR. What is PLR? Well, of course, you can Google it in the Great Library of the World, ironically. Public lending rights is what we're talking about. So you might not know this, but if you register your books for PLR at their website, you may receive, in effect, a royalty check during the year. Now, I get them so infrequently, I can't actually tell you how many times a year they pay out. I'll also tell you in a sec how much I've received from them. Just to make the point that there are, in the UK, there are two PLRs. So PLR UK and PLR Ireland. So you do need to register for both as things stand as I record this video. Now, the most I've ever received from PLR was, I think it was 2023, and I got £11. So from a year of people taking out books that I'd written for other people, I was able to buy approximately 2 pints in the pub. Now, you might well turn around, particularly if you are a massive librarian fan and see the value in all things libraries, and say, well, that's not the point. That is not the point. And you're right, it isn't the point. I'm not bothered about the £11, but what I take from the PLR, and you have nothing to lose by registering, is that little smile, that little contentment that it gives you, that you know, even if this book, and I have a pretty good idea which books are being read years down the line, your book is still being read by somebody for the very first time. And I think that emotional connection, that feeling of satisfaction, is absolutely the best reason for you registering your books with PLR UK, PLR Ireland, and of course other equivalents in other territories around the world. So it's not going to make you a lot of money, but it's going to give you a little glow in your heart, I think. So that's PLR. And I hope that helps, because once upon a time, nobody told me that that even existed. And I'll see you next time when the secrets of a ghostwriter continues.